everybody, Leslie Grossman here from Stitches by Leslie. Today we're going to talk about and create a year-at-a-glance calendar, that one space in your journal where you get to visualize the entire year all at once. One thing that I really like about penning my own calendar, I get asked a lot, why don't you just print it out? Or why don't you go find stickers or something? I like to actually be able to write the months down. It helps me find patterns in the month. It also helps me commit to memory special dates and when they fall. So for example, in May of 2018, my birthday falls on a Saturday. That's awesome. I wouldn't have looked at that in advance unless I actually wrote out the calendar. The other thing I looked at was I saw that Halloween is on a Wednesday. So I'm definitely gonna find or look for an uncomplicated costume so that I can get my kid from school to trick-or-treating without a lot of fuss. I also know when the holidays are gonna fall and I can guesstimate when my child will be out of school. I can also start thinking about and planning events like summer breaks and things like that, so I can start to make my annual goals list that much more detailed. Places I wanna travel, people I wanna travel with, times or dates that I want to take off, but most importantly, having the ability to actually look at it your entire year on one layout page is awesome. So we're going to spend some time doing that today. Hopefully you've carved out at least 30 minutes or so for this particular layout. It's the longest layout that you'll do in your entire journal, but it is the one that you will reference the most often. I chose to do a 12-month spread. You can choose 15 months, 18 months, or 12 months as well, depending upon what you want to track and how long you want to track it. I'm going to do 12, so January to December. In the blog page below, you'll see a picture of this, but this is the journal layout that I've chosen for this year. I've given myself enough space to actually track my annual goals. I started highlighting some of the dates, which we'll go ahead and talk about in a couple of days for special events and things like that. But the most important thing is actually just taking your time and penning the year. Now that you have the framework laid out in front of you, just take a few minutes to flip through the Pinterest board, the link is below, or the blog photos that I've attached of all the different sample layouts that have been provided by various different artists across all of the different social media platforms. These folks share their pages and their layouts to give you inspiration, so feel free to be inspired and recreate the ones that you like. There's two pieces of information that I want to make sure that I'm clear on today. The first thing is not every journal is made the same. My journal has 32 lines per page. The sample journal that we did on this video had 28 lines per page. So as you start to look at your inspiration pages, and you'll do this throughout the entire 30 days, look at or try to count the number of lines in the inspiration page. It's important for you to know that so that you can modify and adjust based on the number of lines you have in your book. It sounds a little bit more complicated than it really will be, but just know the number of lines you have. The second thing is you're going to use a pencil and you need to use an eraser. You will erase a lot, and it's okay. As you start to build these pages and as you start to become more creative and as you start to put more detailed information, you're going to want to line things up just right. And the best way to do that is just by using a pencil and an eraser. When you lay out your 12-month spread, or 15 or 18-month, whichever you've chosen, make sure after you've done each month that you double check the date and the day for the first day and the last day of the calendar month. So for example, January 1st falls on a Monday. We want to make sure that the 31st falls on the appropriate day as well. You're going to do that for every single month. I promise you, I have screwed it up and I have erased a ton of times. For whatever reason, I always think January has 30 days, and it really doesn't. It has 31. No matter how many times I try to cut off a day, I shouldn't do that. And I've had to erase my entire layout. It's okay. So check and double check and make sure that it's right. Once you've got it all penciled out, and once you know that everything's correct, go ahead and use your markers, use your embellishments, washi tape, whatever it is that you want. Watercolor is great too. And fill it in and create it in a final form. And then erase after the fact. I know today's lesson was super long. I know that it took a little while and it was a little bit more complicated, and I promise that it's the only page and the only layout that will take this long or be as complicated. Which are the two topics that are coming up next, marking off your calendar and noting special dates, as well as thinking about annual goals and listing those out. So in advance, start thinking about those annual goals. What are things that you're going to want to crush in 2018?